informational purposes only. Moving on, we're going to go to public comment. I believe we had one registered speaker, and that was Phyllis Gafour.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
You'll have, Phyllis, you'll have 3 minutes, or excuse me, Ms. Gafour, you'll have 3 minutes to deliver public comment. I'll let you know when you've got about 30 seconds.
Okay, minus the 30 that you've added to it. Good afternoon. Yep. My name is Phyllis Gafour, and even though this letter was addressed to the Honorable Daniel Lavelle as a member of the URA Board, and he is chair of the Hill Reinvestment Group, I would like to express some concerns about the last board meeting of this group, and also hope that there will be some constructive dialogue. If some of the comments I've written is a little muddled, unfortunately, I had a major asthma attack at the library while I was writing this. So I'm going to try to get through this very quickly. I'm writing him.
Please take your time.
I'm writing him as a native of the Greater Hill community. And why I have been away a couple of years is because of the Housing Opportunity Program could not accommodate my issues. And so I hope to let everyone know, even though there has been a number of meetings recently, we are still, after 60 years, waiting for programming, development, and economic development to areas east of Crawford Street. There's been some housing rehabilitation, but for the most part, over 10 years or more, there's only been 2 new construction off of Center Avenue. And one of them was by the URA Board, and the other one was by the Hill CDC. Lovely building. I hope everybody gets a chance to look at it. However, the overall planning and development issues that I had hoped as a former planner for the city of Pittsburgh has not occurred, either because there's not the capacity to do so, or there's some kind of anomaly around the interaction with the other nonprofit and profit partners. In any case, in the past 6 months, I've observed the following, and I'm not going to read them all. You can certainly read them. There are large areas of vacant land with no one emerging to develop it, and structures are being continued demolished because, and they could be saved. Because of the large area of vacant land, there are herds of deer running down Bedford, Raleigh, Webster, and portions of Center Avenue, as well as foxes, raccoons, and so forth, who not only eat our plants, they're destroying our lawns, they're terrorizing our kids. And 2 weeks ago, I came across 8 deer, much bigger than I am, and still had to keep moving down Summers to Wiley Avenue. As well, during this time, I've had to pick up with a bad back, and I'm 68 years old, bags and bags of garbage and other debris to keep the critters, at bay. It disturbs us that the young people are continuing to kill themselves. Some of them are just going to the neighborhood store, which happens to be a local Family Dollar, while we wait for a permanent store. I live in a senior complex, K. Leroy Urbis Towers, and a gentleman came in from the Upper Hill, Shenley Heights, to see how some of us felt about some of these issues. And I had to warn him that because we did not know him in general, he could not knock on the doors and do what he was doing. But I took his concerns. I told him I would bring it to the appropriate people and see what they felt about it. And you can read some of the incidences in the third paragraph that we are dealing with. To hear and see a naked woman who was high on drugs 2 a.m, to hear a woman being accosted and can't do anything because you're afraid to come out. Her people just moved her out and are suing the owner of the building, the manager, and so forth. We did contact them, and they're not being the owner. They are not committal to doing anything or coming up with any strategies other than putting more cameras in the hallway. Okay, I saw the last Greater Redevelopment Fund hearing, and some things did stick out as a problem. First of all, the CSIP committee was developed as a advisory arm for Mr. Lavelle and some of the Penguins, but none of them ever came out to the community to introduce themselves or say what their goals were, either short-term or long-term. And, you know, now they want us to approve or disapprove Penguin plans, and we can't do it because we don't know enough. And we're not sure how this fits in the greater overall picture. However, I do know we cannot wait another 10 or 20 years for the CDC or any other entity to come forth with the things that we need to know to make an intelligent decision. Also, real briefly, my friends, high school friends and college friends and so forth, can ill afford on a limited income to repair roofs and critical things in their homes. We have not been assured that we're going to get those things. Also, the elderly is just one constituency group. There are area constituency groups like Uptown Partners, like Bedford Dwellings, like Skyline Terrace that were not mentioned or fit into the sections, the 7, I believe it's 6 sections of the CSIP plan. It's a big emphasis on jobs. We're 65 and older. Some of us can still work, but that wasn't presented to us, nor a meeting developed to do that. Those of us who work during public hearings need a fair shake on socioeconomic issues for middle-aged and elderly residents. We need adequate communication vehicles so people not as adept on the computer can find out what's going on. There are other social issues, food, we're going into a recession or other economic crisis, and we don't know what all is available. My last paragraph, it can be proven from case histories that top-down efforts in the guise of high-level public administration never work for long. The anger of Hill organizing has spilled into my senior home by people who live in the 5th Ward, for example. And they're saying, when will change come? Who is getting all the funds this time? And we've lived through everything from model cities to the casino, CDBG, all of those, and they have not helped us one iota. We are desperate. We are starving for prosperity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kapoor.
Yes, Mr. Chair, may I have 2 seconds to respond?
Of course,
Yeah.
Councilman.
So Ms. Kapoor, I am in receipt of your letter. I have read it in its entirety. I think it's very fair, and I think you have expressed very legitimate concerns both in the letter and here today. I certainly don't have the time to respond to every detailed point now. What I will tell you is that you raised a very legitimate concern related to Kayla Ray Irvis. On the 16th, I believe at 1 p.m., myself, County Councilman DeWitt Walton, we've asked HUD to attend, and a number of the stakeholders to meet with us and the residents at Kaylori Irvis to discuss what is going on there, and in my estimation, what is being allowed by just very poor management. So I would ask that you please attend as well as spread the word. As it relates to the Greater Hill District Neighborhood Reinvestment Fund, hopefully within the next month or two, we will make those applications live and residents will begin able to receive some of those resources. And I will promise here, as I've done in many other meetings, that we will coordinate another community meeting where we'll be able to go over every single development in detail, whether it's has been built, is in the process of being built, or is being contemplated to be developed. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Ms. Gafour. I really appreciate you taking the time to not just send us the letter, which staff is in receipt of, and we'll make sure everyone sees in addition to the councilman, but also to speak to the board today. So I do want the record to reflect that Representative Inarano has joined us, so we do have all members present and accounted for. Moving on in the agenda, we have a hefty announcement section today. So with that, for the first announcements, Daniel, I believe you and Tanika are joining us for that.
Hi there. My name is Daniel Grantham. I am the Executive Operations Coordinator, and I work with the Communication and Community Relations Department here at the URA. I'm here to tell you about our 2023 URA Strategic Sponsorship Program. The URA Strategic Sponsorship Program is now available at ura.org/pages/sponsorship. The program supports community-focused events, programs, and initiatives that enrich neighborhoods, celebrate entrepreneurship, and foster sustainable prosperity across Pittsburgh. The maximum grant level for most areas of the city is $5,000. However, if the sponsored activity, event, or initiative primarily benefits, serves, or is hosted by community members of one or more of the 7 avenues of hope, the maximum grant amount may be up to $7,500. We ask that people interested in applying for this strategic sponsorship grant make their applications by June 5th, 2023, or at least 6 weeks prior to the start of the event, activity, or initiative, whichever is earlier. And you can reach out to me directly if you have questions. My information appears at the bottom of the screen and also appears on the sponsorship page at ura.org. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Daniel. Any questions from the board? Great. Thanks, Daniel. Next is the RFP announcement on Burke Place, and Donita Thomas will be joining us for that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Donita Thomas. I'm a project manager in the Development Services Group at the URA, and I am happy to announce that the URA has acquired Burke Place, and we are publicly announcing a request for proposals being distributed. The site is about almost 1.5 acres with almost 30,000 square feet of building area. Our goal is to select a developer who can come in and build a high quality, green, affordable housing or mixed use development with links to the residential and business districts of Brownsville Road. We'd love to create more density and help the community thrive. In talks with the community, it has been brought to our attention that senior assisted living is a preference, but I'd like to also note that the URA will not mandate what we receive as far as development proposals. We can only guide developers to follow the recommendations of the community. Respondents should specify the number and percentage of affordable units that are being proposed and the income levels, as well as provide details regarding the residential and our senior citizen management programs. Our plan is to release the RFP in February of 2023 via Ion Wave and have proposals due by April. I'd also like to note that as part of the RFP review committee, it will be members of the URA, members of city planning, members state representative office of the district, city council office, and community development members. If there are any questions, whether from the community or developers, please feel free to contact me. My contact information is at ura.org. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Danita. In terms of, you're saying the issue date is February 2023 via Ion Wave?
Yes.
For anyone who's interested in receiving that, how do they sign up to receive that via Ion Wave?
So the RFP will also be announced on URA.org, and I'm also working with our comms team to distribute the announcement on our social media channels.
Great. Any other questions from the board? No. Danita, thank you. There's countless staff who have worked on this to bring us to this point. It's incredibly exciting. You know, and the law department, the real estate department, our construction team, you know, and the community for their patience. I know it's incredibly important to the council member. I know it's Councilman Coghill. I know it's incredibly important to Representative Benham, the care community broadly, not just for the importance of where this sits, you know, along a critical corridor in the neighborhood, but for the travesties of what happened there prior, to make sure that, you know, we do a development there that, you know, really helps to nip back the fabric, but also kind of heal the harms that happened there. So incredibly excited to see this move forward. I know it's been a slog, so really appreciate staff's persistence and wherewithal, and again, the community's patience as we've done this. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next announcement, a reminder related to URA properties that are available for sale and lease. And Lindsay Jupin, I believe, is joining us for this one.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Jupin. I'm the real estate inventory manager here at the URA. And today I'm here on behalf of the real estate department to remind the public of URA land being available for sale and or lease. In an effort to increase visibility of available URA-owned land, we will deploy newly designed for sale signs. Interested persons will be directed to ura.org/pages/available-properties, where they can submit their inquiry. Properties are subject to the URA disposition process. Lastly, URA affiliate Pittsburgh Economic and Industrial Corporation, also known as PEIDC, has up to 14,000 square feet of commercial space available within the Larmer neighborhood and is currently looking for tenants. This space is newly constructed. Anyone interested in learning more about the availability of commercial space should contact Property Questions at ura.org for more information. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Any questions from board members? I'm just excited to see us, you know, remind folks of some of the opportunities that are out there, in particular those that, you know, can be hard to move, and not because they aren't great opportunities, just because of lack of awareness. So, you know, thank you and the rest of staff for your leadership to really bring this back to the fore, so that we can help to move some, hopefully, you know, exciting projects forward. So thanks a lot, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Next, Dylan Sloat is joining us, or I'm sorry, before that, we're doing an announcement related to a tentative non-voting briefing next month, and Julia McMahon's joining us for that. Sorry, Julia.
Hello, my name is Julia McMahon, and I am a project manager in the Project and Asset Management Division. I'm here today to notify the board and the public of a possible briefing of the Lower Hill Block E project at the March 9th URA board meeting. This possible briefing is contingent upon the URA's receipt of all required information. If the board is briefed on the Lower Hill Block E project in March, a final vote may occur in April. The period between the board meetings will allow for public comments to be made and considered. Information on how to provide comments on this matter are included on the slide. Again, if this project is presented in March, it would be a briefing and not a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Any questions from board members? Great. Now Dylan Sloat will be joining us to go over the 2022 Q4 URA impact report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. My name is Dylan Sloat. I'm a legislative and systems specialist in the URA Strategic Data and Impact Unit. On your screen, you're going to see some highlights from the Q4 2022 URA impact report. As you can see on your screen, 22 businesses were connected with technical assistance to the URA and its affiliates. 321 individuals were able to stay in their homes through housing crisis prevention or housing related legal assistance programs through the Housing Opportunity Fund. 12 individuals were assisted in achieving home ownership through the HOF down payment and closing cost assistance program. 235 units of affordable housing were created or preserved through URA's residential and consumer lending programs. 7 small business loans were closed between the URA and its affiliates worth $1.82 million. Roughly $200,000 were dispersed to businesses maintaining vacant lots and supporting neighborhood projects through our land care and NIF programs. The full report is now live on the impact page of the URA's website. If you were to navigate to ura.org and click on the impact tab and then URA impact. So I encourage anyone who's interested in reading further to go to the impact page and read the full report. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dylan. Any questions from board members or comments?
Just a quick comment. One, thank you to all URA staff for helping achieve these sort of results. This is actually very impressive. But what it also demonstrates is that the need within the community is absolutely there. And we're trying to the greatest extent to fill that need with governmental dollars. And so this will be sort of another plug of mine to encourage those in the private sector to participate in a more wholesome and fulfilling manner to help us fulfill these needs. What I will say on a positive note is I just heard from West Banco, who is interested in working with us in our own PGH program. So I'll be reaching out to URA staff regarding that. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Councilman.
Thanks all.
Any other board members? I would echo the councilman's comments. It's impressive to see, especially given this is, the results from just a quarter. Yeah, I know we do sort of annual report outs too that combine all of these things. So I'll be excited, to see that just for everything that we did in 2022. Really, I think, Councilman, to your point, it'll illustrate the need even stronger. And then moreover, right, the opportunity that can exist either through partnership to help us leverage our funds to go further, or for the private market to pick up, where we've kind of left off and allow us to maybe focus more deeply in certain areas. So thank you, Dylan, your team for putting this together. Thank you to all the staff that work on this every day. And I know probably had to sort of scrape all of their files in order to get you the numbers to pull this together. So that's never an easy task, and Tanika and all the comms team for helping to, put that out and really publicize the work that's being done. So thanks to everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Councilman.
I was actually just looking for the applause, but we don't seem to have that on this version of Zoom. Everything that has been said, I would also, if we haven't already, just encourage us to share this graphics on social media and broadly, because it's a great indication of the positive work that is happening and the impact that we're having across the city.
We're looking to add in the applause button for next month.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely work with our social media team on that. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Dylan. Moving on into today's agenda, the first items that we'll be looking at are coming from residential lending and investments. The first item on that part of the agenda is in Uptown for Bethlehem Haven, and joining us will be David DiBernardo.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I think it's next slide. There we go. Thank you. My name is David DiBernardo. I am a lending analyst I am a lending analyst in the residential lending department of the URA. I am here today seeking approval for a $500,000 rental gap program loan for phase 1 of the Bethlehem Haven project in the form of a 40-year 0% cash flow loan. The This rental gap program loan request is only for phase one of a two-phase project. Phase one consists of a renovation of the existing building known as Bethlehem Haven Women's Shelter. Phase two of this project is a 9% low-income housing tax credit new construction in the adjacent buildings, which will be named Uptown Flats. Bethlehem Haven Women's Shelter has been operating in Uptown since 2007. It is owned and operated by the nonprofit Bethlehem Haven of Pittsburgh, which is a fully owned subsidiary of Pittsburgh Mercy. The developer of this project is Action Housing, which has been developing and managing affordable housing projects since 1957. This four-story building provides long-term housing and care for 26 women who may not be capable of living independently or have experienced chronic housing instability. This building is in dire need of renovations. The mechanical systems such as HVAC and plumbing have aged beyond their expected operational lifespan, causing interruptions in service and expensive maintenance. Currently, many of the women share rooms, including some rooms that house up to 3 individuals. One key component of the renovation plan is to reconfigure the living space into 26 single-room occupancy units so that each resident will have their own private space. 20 of these units will be restricted to residents earning at or below 30% of area median income. The total renovation project is $3,810,000, most of which has been raised and committed. 2 sources of funding which are still pending are PHFA FAIR and Home ARP funding. These are both expected to announce in the summer of 2023. In the meantime, Bethlehem Haven's parent organization, Pittsburgh Mercy, has committed to providing the full amount of the anticipated awards from these programs for a combined total of $1.56 million in the form of a bridge loan. Along with this commitment, the approval of today's $500,000 rental gap program loan will complete the budgeted $3.8 million capital stack to fully fund the renovations and allow the project to begin as scheduled in April of 2023. Lastly, I would like to point out that this project is on a critically tight timeline. This winter, the aging furnace gave out. Bethlehem Haven secured temporary accommodations for their residents, but only for 1 year. To recap, I am here today seeking approval for a $500,000 rental gap program loan for phase one of the Bethlehem Haven project in the form of a 40-year, 0% interest cash flow loan. I would now like to introduce the executive director of Bethlehem Haven, Annette Fetchko. Annette is going to make a statement to the board about the project, and then Annette and I would be happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Annette, you may begin your statement once you're unmuted and ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to present housing for
Annette, we're having some trouble hearing you. The audio's cutting in and out.
no.
Can't hear you.
Still a little.
Can you hear?
No.
There's some feedback. I don't know if you have a speaker on that's kind of high and that's what's cutting into it.
Is that
No, man. No, man.
this better?
It's like cutting in and out.
Yeah. Annette, if you're able to either put your statement in the Q&A, we'd be able to see it and could have someone read it, or if you are able to email it to David,
Yeah.
he could read it as well.
Yeah, do you want to email that to me and I can read your statement?
In the meantime, would the
Yes.
board like to ask any questions?
I'll say something quickly, and hopefully I'm coming through because my internet is also a little choppy today, but I've had the opportunity and absolute pleasure of volunteering several times at Bethlehem Haven, and the need is so great. So I'm really excited that this project is in front of us to ensure that everyone in our city can live with dignity and respect, and having spaces that represent that is really critical. So excited to move along in this project.
There's a public question in the Q&A too that is asking whether Bethlehem Haven's definition of women includes transgender women. I don't know if we know the answer to that.
You know what, that's a good question, and I would have to defer to Annette for that. And unfortunately, I can't relay that to her at this time. Answer is yes, she said in the chat.
Looks like we're getting a net statement sort of paragraph at a time, huh? Has anything come through over email, David, for you?
No, it hasn't.
Okay. To Director Namani Stanger's point, are there any questions from the board while we wait? Give Annette a moment to email her statement to David. David, I know, you know, both in your presentation, you mentioned this is the first of like the two phase. Do we have a sense, we're saying construction late 2023 on the new construction piece. Is the anticipation that the first phase would be able to be completed before then?
The construction on the first phase is expected to take 8 months. So
Okay.
Beginning in April here, it should be finished by the end of the year.
Okay.
So it
roughly
might,
around.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, finish your.
So if they stick to their timeline and are able to start by the end of 2023, there may be some overlap. Now part of the new construction is going to be, the first step is going to be tearing down 4 existing structures that are connected to each other, that are adjacent, like they're actually attached to the current Bethlehem Havens Women's Shelter, but they're like, we've already gotten clearing through like SPO and the city, like the historical review and everything, that we can go ahead with that kind of demolition and rebuilding a fresh building. So that may begin at the same time this is finishing up.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
No, it does. Yeah, I was just, for everyone's kind of understanding on the sequencing of things, just wanted to sort of understand that a little bit more. So appreciate you indulging me there. I know to Director Powell's point, this is something that they've been working on, you know, for quite a while. Would be interested to know the interactions, you know, with the Uptown Partners Group. Councilman, I don't know if you have visibility on that or staff, but didn't notice sort of them noted in the item, so I was just curious about that.
I know they've had numerous conversations in the past.
Okay.
And I believe Uptown Partners was supportive.
Okay. Great.
Chairman, would you like for me to read what Annette has put in?
Yeah, if we've gotten it, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, Director.
It seems like this is it. So Annette, she can still hear us, so please add more. What you've stated is, I am delighted to be available to present this project, Bethlehem Haven, in supporting 26 women who have physical and or mental health disabilities.
Thank you, Director.
No problem.
I
It's a
would
shame.
just,
Sorry.
go ahead, David, sorry.
I was just gonna say, it's a shame that Annette's audio is not working, because at our Housing Opportunity Fund council meeting, she just had such eloquent words to speak. And so she's so passionate about this project and the work that they do for these women that I couldn't possibly convey like how that felt to listen to her speak about it in her own words. So it is a little disappointing, but just know that her heart is here, and the work they do is invaluable and will have immediate impact on 26 women's lives. Go ahead.
There's
Thank
more.
you thank you for sharing that, David. There's more, Tanika?
Yes, some more just came
You got
out.
another?
Yes,
Okay.
so this is Annette's voice. The sequence is to complete the phase 1 renovations by the end of the year, and phase 2 to begin in 2025 after all closing occurs with tax credits. All community meetings have been completed, and Uptown Partners has provided full support of this project.
That's great. Annette, thank you for being a trooper through the technical issues, and David for sharing those kind words. We'll be excited, Annette, to hopefully hear from you in real time here in several months as the second phase moves forward. I would echo Director Powell's comments, in terms of and David, yours, in terms of the importance of this project, for our unhoused and housing unstable residents. This is, we know and we've seen as Second Avenue Commons is online that, we need to bring more resources to bear. This will do that, David, as you so well said, bringing and changing the lives for 26 individuals. So couldn't be more supportive of this and proud for us to take this. So thank you for your work on this, Annette. Thank you and your team and the Action Housing team, that I know is partnering to help move this through. So this is great. Councilman, I'm sorry, were you going to say anything? No. Okay.
No.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have approval for the Housing Preservation Program guidelines. Joining us for this item will be Director Miller.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Evan Miller, and I'm the Director of Housing here at the URA. Last month, draft program guidelines for the American Rescue Plan funded Housing Preservation Program were presented to this board and then posted to the URA's website for review and public comment. The URA did receive feedback from several parties, including Pittsburgh's Preservation Working Group, which is a dedicated network of policymakers, stakeholders, and development partners that are interested in the long-term preservation of existing affordable housing. It's headed up by Neighborhood Allies, and I'd just really like to thank them for their continued support and guidance as we roll out this program. They've been engaged with the URA on the topic of preservation for quite some time now, even before this program was even really in consideration. So just wanted to give some credit there. As a refresher, this program is going to help with funding the acquisition, rehab, and operations of existing affordable housing, both naturally occurring affordable housing and subsidized units. The program's intended to quickly deploy funding to development partners that are looking to preserve existing portfolios that are at risk of flipping the market and preventing existing housing stock from being taken offline as well. The URA is currently scheduled to receive $8.9 million of American Rescue Plan funding to support this effort. Some of the high-level components are that eligible projects will include 5 or more units, with at least 50% of the units needing to be affordable to households at or below 80% of the area median income, with priority given to projects serving households at or below 50% of the area median income. Also, the program, to the greatest extent possible, will require participating projects to accept housing choice vouchers. And eligible borrowers are both nonprofit and for-profit developers, but all of the participants will have to agree to a 40-year affordability deed restriction eligible projects can receive up to $50,000 of preservation funding per affordable unit with a maximum project loan of $1.5 million. Some notable changes that are being incorporated into the final guidelines based on comments the URA has received are that preservation funds can now be used to fund limited equity cooperatives, which is very exciting. Guidelines also now allow for a reduced borrower contribution from $3,000 per unit to $1,000 per unit for nonprofit development entities. This $3,000 requirement was called out as a possible hindrance for nonprofits that were looking to quickly intervene on projects. There's also additional guidance that's been added for projects that involve naturally occurring affordable rents that may still have cost burden tenants living in those units. This allows for a portion of the preservation funds that a project might receive to be used as a short-term rental subsidy until other traditional subsidies could be secured by the owner or the tenant, depending on the type of subsidy. And then lastly, enhanced measures to ensure that development teams that are looking to combine efficiency or one-bedroom units into larger family-size units are not dissuaded from using the program, and that's an allowable use if there is a reduction in units, affordable units for that reason specifically. Once the URA has an executed recipient agreement from the city, we'll then release a funding application for projects looking to receive preservation program funding, and the board will continue to see individual projects as approvals are sought. Again, I just want to thank those who submitted comments for their helpful suggestions, and to thank the URA legal team working in concert with city law for the expedited review of all of these proposed changes over the last few weeks. We really do look forward to rolling out this program very soon here. So with that, I'll open it up to the board. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Director. Any questions or comments from the board?
I'll say, I know this was such a huge undertaking with the American Rescue Plan guidelines constantly changing. So thank you, URA staff, for continuously staying on it and launching this program. I know, again, it was not easy, and we're deeply, deeply appreciative.
And I'll just add, I know serving on this board and the work that you all do every day, how expensive it's becoming to put the shovel in the ground. So using these dollars, we're getting as significant return on investment in preserving the existing structures that exist. And I'm incredibly encouraged to see that we are considering limited equity cooperatives as a viable use for these funds. I think that's a model of housing that has a lot of potential in our region.
Thanks, Representative. We do have a question in the chat, Director, related to whether there are incentives or requirements around utilization of project-based voucher subsidy to create income-based affordability. I guess how that would interact or ways in which we're looking to leverage that with these funds here.
Sure. So I think from the staff level, we can encourage projects to seek project-based vouchers, possibly apply for the Housing Authority's annual gap financing program. However, if a project wasn't able to receive that, they're still going to rent units affordably, we wouldn't want to exclude those projects from participating. So that's why it's in the guidelines to the greatest extent feasible. So if we felt as if there was a project that was participating in source of income discrimination, that would be addressed at that time, and we would look for documentation about for whatever applicants are coming to us with that information, and try to figure out how we can move forward with that borrower and participating project.
Okay. And that, I guess, maybe relatedly, if these funds are targeted more towards the acquisition and getting the properties under control, I guess presumably, there's still the opportunity on, to your point, Director, utilizing the housing authority's PBV contracts or, PBV plus gap financing as part of a investment in the property then? Is that some of what I'm hearing you say too?
Yes, I think we, if it was a very rapid process of a building has come up for sale and they need access to capital and the preservation can provide it, I think we'd look at that as almost its own scope. And then if there was additional fundraising that they needed to do down the line for improvements, we would point them to that program, possibly other funds at the URA as they're available. But some of these projects might sort of be on a continuum of receiving funds and truly getting up to their maximum level of service for affordable housing.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Well, I'm sorry, Councilman. I was just I'd echo the comments from my fellow board members. I know we talked about this, kind of more at length last month, but thank you, and the housing team, our legal team, and everyone involved, Evan, in pulling this together, as well as the preservation working group, and really then kind of helping for the work that they're going to do and helping to identify these opportunities, for these investments going ahead. I think this will be critically important towards stabilizing and preserving a lot of the both deed restricted and naturally occurring affordable, housing stock in the city. It's exciting to see the changes that you made. So thank the public for, providing the comments, as you did, and other partners to help us improve and iterate on the draft that was shown. Things like, allowing for limit equity co-ops and incentivizing that, making this more responsive to what nonprofits actually need, and then helping to encourage, or not sort of dissuade in creating family-sized units is all really, thoughtful, prudent, and smart changes. So thank you for the work over the last month as well. With that, entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. Thanks, Director.
Thank you
all. Moving into business solutions. Our first item is related to Catapult Greater Pittsburgh Entrepreneurship Programs. And joining us for this will be Josette Fitzgibbons.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Josette Fitzgibbons. I'm the manager of Neighborhood Business District Programs in the Business Solutions Department in the URA. So the first action here is authorization to enter into a contract for up to $200,000 with Catapult Greater Pittsburgh to administer their entrepreneurship programs for 2023. This is a program most of you know we've been involved with since its beginning in 2018. I've had the honor of being the staff person working on it since 2018. And this program has enabled more than 100 entrepreneurs to go through their the cohorts. It started with the Startup to Storefront cohort, which was specifically for retail businesses. They have added a culinary and a Catapult Kids cohorts as well. And they've the staff at Catapult, Tammy Thompson and Lachelle Binion and the rest of their staff have really just created a stellar program. They also have, last year we opened the Gallery Center program in the Center Heldman Plaza, the Gallery Center store, which is open and features businesses from the Catapult program. One of the keys of this, couple of the keys of this program are that 100% of the businesses are MWBE businesses. And this program not only benefits the individual entrepreneur, but it benefits the families and the communities of the entrepreneurs in building a culture of entrepreneurship, and helping us to break down some of the barriers to access to capital and resources. So any questions?
Doesn't look like it. To your point, Josette, this is one I think the board and URA are familiar with. So excited to see the partnership continue. As you said, Catapult does, great impactful work in the community. Can't speak highly enough, of what they do. So, echo your excitement to continue that partnership. So thank you, and your team for your work on that, and Tammy and her team for the work that they do, and we have the chance to and privileged to partner with them on. So with that, entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Great, the motion carries. Then moving on to the Get Online, Grow Online program. Josette, you're staying with us for this one.
Yeah, so this is also me. This is a program that we established in partnership with Neighborhood Allies in 2020 to help small entrepreneurs transition to and grow their online presence. We have helped more than 100 City of Pittsburgh businesses since that time go through the program. It provides up to 10 hours of technical support from digital marketing and website development professionals. About 80% of the participants are minority and women-owned businesses. And just to the credit of Neighborhood Allies, they have expanded this program beyond the city limits with other funding as well, so that businesses, small businesses throughout southwestern Pennsylvania can take advantage of it. But this funding we're requesting authorization to enter into a contract with Neighborhood Allies for up to $75,000 for the administration of the program for businesses within the city of Pittsburgh for 2023. And the application's available on the URA website. Not sure if I said that.
That's great. Thanks, Susan. Do we have any sense, like, in terms of like increase in sales or traffic, or anything that the businesses are seeing kind of after they go through the program?
We do see that businesses that are sticking with the program over the course of 6 months or a year after getting the help. I mean, some businesses don't necessarily follow through, but the ones that are sticking with it are seeing sometimes as much as 40% increase in sales in that time. So we're really seeing a lot of benefit from it.
That's great. Do we, on those that fall out of the program, have they followed up with them to kind of understand why, in terms of then maybe it's changes or?
Yeah, Neighborhood Allies is
improve
working to, yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say opportunities to sort of change or improve the program offering, or to make it more accessible if there's issues, around that aspect of it.
Yeah, they've been working on trying to do some follow-up and in some cases working with technical assistance providers of making sure that the improvements they do are easy for the businesses to continue with, that it's something that the small business owner can continue to do. Some of the technical assistance providers provide discounted services beyond the 10 hours to continue to help the businesses. So it's kind of a still evolving thing.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Do we have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Wonderful. Motion carries. Thanks, Josette. Moving on, our next item is Government Relations Services, and joining us for this will be David Geiger.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. My name is David Geiger. I'm the Senior Advisor here at the URA. As you may recall, back in September of 2022, we announced and released RFP for Government Relations Services. I'm excited to say that we received an unprecedented 15 responses from firms across the state. I worked with a diverse review committee of staff that represented multiple URA departments and levels of leadership, and we reviewed each response thoroughly, narrowed down proposals, and interviewed a short list of finalists. At this time, we recommend moving forward with an authorization to enter a contract with Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney for state and federal relations. The BIR team has expertly represented the URA for a number of decades, with Chuck Holing serving as the principal on the contract. Terry Hubert, now at Summit Strategies, will continue to serve the URA as a subcontractor in Washington, D.C. I look forward to working with Chuck, Terry, Randy, Jara, and the entire BIR team to advance the URA's legislative, administrative, and funding priorities in Harrisburg and Washington, D.C.
Thanks, David. Do we have any questions, comments from the board? Councilman?
No, I think Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney has served us very well over the years. Just a quick question. I didn't fully catch the sub in DC. Is that the same sub we had previously?
Terry was with Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney. He's since started his own firm with a handful of colleagues in DC, but has remained on our contract in a subcontracting role.
Okay, good. I'll offer a motion to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Wonderful. Motion carries. Thank you, David. I know going through 15 proposals probably took some time, but it's good to see the interest that's out there. So thanks for your work on this, and look forward to working with the Buchanan team for the coming years.
Thank you all.
Next on the agenda, we have quite a few new RCAP awards. Joining us for this will be DeMar Carter.
Thank you, Chairman. Hi, everyone. I'm DeMar Carter. I'm the Director of Finance at the URA. So I'm here today to get authorization to file applications and contracts with the State Budget Office for RCAPs. Also, to enter into authorization for sub-grant agreements and contract administration fees, and to get into authorization for cooperation agreements with the city of Pittsburgh. On the next slide, we'll show all the new awards that were awarded this year and their council district and the award amount for each one. You go to the next one as well. They're on two screens. We got a lot of awards. And then
I think it's 31 new awards.
31,
right?
31 awards, yes. What total of 43,200,000 total, which is nice. A lot of work. And we're also are asking for previously awarded, we had amendments to them. So we're asking for authorization to amend some of the previously awarded. On the next screen, we'll show you what was awarded and what is amended. And also as well to go into contracts with the city sub-grants for these amendments.
These are another 16 awards that are actually increases, correct?
Correct. They're an addition. We previously were awarded, for them, and we added addition for some of these, like Homewood Coliseum.
Great. Any questions or comments from board members on any of the 48 projects or them all together?
I'm not sure if that's the most we've ever gotten at one time, but it sure seems.
It is.
Um,
It is. It definitely is.
So
great.
first and foremost, oh, it's tremendous. It's tremendous, the resources that are coming into our area. And so I'll begin by thanking our fellow board member, Representative Sarah Innamorato, for her leadership at the state level for helping ensure these resources come back to our region. So thank you very much. Obviously, thank you all to the staff who assisted in making this happen. Obviously, we also need to thank our former governor as well for the attention that he gave our region. So there's many things to go around, and there's some phenomenal recipients and projects that are being highlighted here. So thank you all.
Yeah, Councilman, I'd echo your thanks to Representative Morato, the entire state delegation, our representatives, our state senators, on advocating on, our behalf, the city's behalf, and for these projects to get these awards. Through this map and the previous one, just seeing the geographic diversity across the city and the different types of projects, significant investments, in really every kind of corner. So it's exciting to see, as we move these forward. For everyone's sort of awareness from the public standpoint, the URA is acting sort of as a intermediary related to these. The agencies, and groups companies did submit the applications directly to the state themselves, and we're thankful for the investment. And as Director Carter said, will act, in an administrative role and be able to compensate staff, for make sure we're collecting fees to compensate staff for their time. Director Namani Stenger, you're probably going to correct something I just said. You raised your hand.
No, not at all. It was perfect. I was just going to add that of the 31 new awards, that totals 43.2 million, as Director Carter mentioned. And because our cap's a 1-to-1 match, through those 31 awards, we can realize at least 86.4 million in investment. Obviously, match increases project to project, but this approval of 31 new RCAPs, that's $86.4 million. Significant.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. It's very easy to support a lot of the projects that are on this list, and it speaks to the work that my colleagues are doing at the state and Senate level to really do significant outreach in their communities to understand the projects that are going on and to educate people about this opportunity that exists. So it allows us to bring dollars back when there's good projects and good things happening in our communities. So I would like to just thank the folks who, put in those requests and acknowledge my colleagues for being connected to the work that is going on in their backyards.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you, Director Carter, and you and all the staff that I know is going to be busy,
Yes.
moving these through. But again, it's exciting to see, for all the reasons everyone said. So with that, entertain motion to approve both item 7B as well as item 7C related to the RCRAP new awards and grants with previous awards.
So move.
We have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Abstention from Director Powell. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the disclosures agenda. Do we have any questions or comments related to the disclosure agenda? If not, entertain a motion to approve in its entirety.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Wonderful. The motion carries. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
A second. Wonderful. We are adjourned for our February board meeting. We'll see everyone back here again come March. And thank you to everyone.